To Alvin de Fear from Cecil. I realized, old boy, that I hadn't written to you in an awful long time. So to make up for it, I thought I'd sing you a little song. Here you go. Slow down, you fly too fast. You've got to make the journey last. Just knocking back another gin, looking for fun and feeling woozy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, feeling woozy. Oh bugger, I've dropped my gin. Oh hello, outpost. Which pad's going? The need to pee is rapidly growing. Ain't you got no mugs for me? Doobie, I'm feeling woozy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, oh, feeling woozy. You know, I'm not sure I've got my timing right. I got no deeds to do, no pirates to kill. I'm dapper and drowsy and feel really quite ill. Let the warzone attack poor little me. I love you, Lael, despite being woozy. There you go, Alvin. If you could pass that along to darling Lael for me, I would be eternally grateful. Now, where did I put my swizzle stick?
As pilots run to their ships to head out to Garrido Market and the disaster site, a group of commanders are running in the opposite direction. Clutching their scripts, the sound effect machine under the arm of one of them, a frying pan in the hands of another. They've got a look of grim determination on their faces as they clatter along the corridors. They drop to their seats, pass the plug to the producer and take a deep breath, just in time to hear the words.
Our mics are live. Good evening once again from the Hutton Orbital news studio. I'm Rudolph Hucker, and I'll be your compere for this evening. All the usual voices will be here, along with some special guests.
I'm Willie B. Hardigan, and I'm a stunt performer from Team Hotbox.
As usual, I'm Harry Balzac.
Wilma here, ready for action.
Apology officer on standby.
Norma Stockers, cleared for broadcast.
And I'm Lou, and I'm here because Norma told me I had to. I was hoping Kinrain could come back this week, but no such luck.
And now, on with the news. They've got more ginger nuts than a Scottish nudist camp, but workers refuse to hobnob.
Young Mr. Noctivegas thinks we're all done very well.
King Hanky forgets how the disappearing trick is supposed to work.
It's new news.
There's many a good fiddle played on an old tune.
Pilots Federation denies that new update falls flat.
All the community news that's fit to print, and much that isn't.
And I've got a bit of an update from Hutton Space. Not that anyone cares.
Fear stalks the corridors of Dunker's Rest this evening, The members of EDS 38 are gathered round the hitherto silent Galnet news speaker, as they anxiously await the tidings that they've been dreading from Burton's progress. Will the supply of their favourite biscuit dry up? Will they need to rename their station? And if so, who's going to have to break the news to Ed? Burton's progress in the Maragini system is where the exceedingly good Dr. Arkanen turns Thargoid resin jam into Thargoid resin jam biscuits, otherwise known as dodgy jammers. But all is not well in this factory, where they also make the wheels for our space wagons, though we swear they've got smaller since we were younger. Cannon Research apparently made a derisory offer for the hazard pay demanded by the factory workers for handling the dangerous slime that is Thargoid resin, which is supplied direct to the factory in its natural state by the Anti-Xeno Initiative, AXI, often by just scraping it from the outside of their ship and letting it fall to the floor of the hangar. Raw Thargoid resin is highly corrosive and must go through 17 separate chemical, biological and psychological processes, some of which involve elements with a half-life shorter than that of a bottle of Centauri Megagin after Cecil's walked across the Gobi Desert, all before becoming tasty, though still a little spicy, in the same way that a Carolina Reaper may cause you a little intentional discomfort if you eat a whole one. The treat that is the dodgy jammer, the perfect biscuit for dunking, as it's your cup that dissolves, not the biscuit. Talks with the unions are ongoing, and given that the same factory produces many different chocolate biscuits for the galaxy, management are encouraged by talk that they'll soon be given the finger.
The long-retired Major General Noctivigus made a surprise inspection visit to Hutton Orbital last weekend. Donning his trademark Hutton badged uniform, we're glad that it still fits him after all this time, with only a hint of his new life of leisure being a pair of carpet slippers in place of his normal high-gloss Thargoid kicking boots. The Major General has taken on a tour of our facilities by an attendant team of security-trained Momus Bob Spaniels, availed himself of the victuals available in the mess hall and declared everything aboard the station to be all ship-shape and Hutton fashion. At least we assume that's what he said. Ship. He was facing away from us as he said it. He exchanged his vibrant Corvette for a more personal mode of transport, going with the range-limited but sleeker iEagle, powered by the latest environmentally economical clean drives. A cursory examination of the most recent hot pit reports was met with a raised eyebrow and a quizzical, "How many systems? I thought Alvin didn't like expansion," along with some tasty apologies from the team for their rather overeager influence boosting over the year. Hasty rather than tasty. "Don't make me come back here and sort it myself," with his parting shot as he marched smartly back to his landing pad, and from there to a waiting fleet carrier which will be escorting him to Colonia for a quick inspection of Fort Mug and Dunker's Rest over in Dumbanale, to ensure that Sinbad the Bad's rather bad smell has been removed from the area. He might be retired, but as we say, once a trucker, always a trucker, and this utter trucker's a trucker through and through.
The sound of beeping echoed through deep space a few days ago, as King Hankey, or at least one of his clones, auditioned and won the part of the Big Reversky in the latest film of Hutton's most hilarious facepalms, broadcast this week. The Hankey clone, with the crew entirely populated by DNA replicas, was heading for Colonia to drop a number of them back to Fort Mug to help refurbish the kitchen facilities with new hand-washing equipment, when a passing area of interest caught his attention. And confident that he could catch up to the speed-jumping carrier, popped out for a quick one. As the carrier left, and on completion of his quick tour of the system, the Hanko clone fired up his frameshift drive and made the first jump on his catch-up race with the giant mobile landing pad and refuel station. At the next system, his shipboard fuck-up avoidance system flashed up a warning. Unable to fuel scoop, no suitable equipment is fitted to this vessel. At which point, the Hankey performed a facepalm and sent a message on ahead to the carrier, which promptly pulled the big lever from there to back again and went into reverse. "Caution! This carrier is reversing. Please stand clear," echoed throughout the ship, shortly followed by 500 light years of beep, 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 as the pilot executed a flight school-proved perfect reverse maneuver to go and pick up the stranded clone. The hapless pilot rescued, the carrier continued on its route and is reported to have safely reached orbit of Hutton Moon, where the guilty party has been sent for remedial lessons in things not to forget when you lift off. He is said to have made an extensive list including bog roll in his in-flight snacks, clothes, hand wipes, and of course all the equipment needed to actually fly around in space without having to push the emergency button.
In a startling turn of events, it appears that the galaxy's entire cohort of news reporters have managed to escape from captivity in the last 24 hours and have returned to active duty. Yes, the Galnet reporting team, along with their local representatives in the Galnet audio department, Galbook, Galtwit, the Community Girl Publishing Company and lesser-known salt-raking publication, Read That, have appeared at their desks. With Galnet used articles having been missed the last 93 days and Community Girls having been absent for 9 months, it appears that during the lockdown some unholy procreation has been taking place. And yes, they've had a baby. A digital one, complete with shocking headlines, exclamation marks and commentary from dodgy biased sources. Rumours that they've been held hostage, not by Hudson of the Federation, long-time opponent of what he styles as fake news, and the truth, appear to have been unfounded, as their return to active service has accompanied reports that a number of stations in Imperial space have come under attack and suffered significant damage. Did they break out from these locations? Is it just the Imperial news machine ensuring that someone remembers old blue hair once again in a time of waning interest in the galactic powers? Is there something else afoot? Early reports attributing to attacks to Thargoids appear to have been unfounded, with a terrorist group claiming responsibility for the attacks. However, pilots on this scene are reporting Xeno attack-like deposits on the outside of stations. There are many unknowns at this stage. Have the parties who have claimed responsibility managed to weaponise shipments of Cannon brand sticky biscuits, complete with their Thargoid source GUI centres? Did they hide their explosive storage racks in Thargoid parts that were due to be used for research purposes? Local security chiefs are considering whether there's enough evidence of assault with a dangerous alien to press charges. Cannon and Interstellar are already on the scene conducting tests as to whether the subversion of the Eagle Eye network was the source of the damage. When asked to comment on the potential link between the new Cannon biscuits and the space goo seen at stations, LCU No Fool Like One was reported to say, "Our products are subject to availability, choking hazard, may cause hull breach if improperly stored, not recommended for human consumption, may result in hyperspace conduit instability and Thargoid attacks. Cannon Interstellar accepts no liability for any loss, damage from storing or consuming this product." And thank goodness it wasn't the shipment of Gnosis avian cheese. Can you imagine a cocky cheese explosion of that magnitude? We'll have to find some tinfoil before all this gets out of hand. We'd like to reassure commanders that when we say Garrido's had an explosion and Garrido's ring is on fire, we're not talking about Garrido, we're talking about Garrido Market, not the Pilots Federation communication team member who is just fine and definitely not covered in green goo or nor suffering intestinal distress. Whatever the situation, our very own Galnet News dietitian, Commander Wotherspoon, will be returning with a special Galnet News digest later in this show. In a coincidental but unconnected report, we're happy to announce that Commander Flossy's contract with the Initiative and Interstellar Initiative community team has been extended for another 15 months, and she's been asked to bring her earworms out of retirement immediately. It sounds like it's all kicking off, but we'll get to the bottom of it as fast as we can.
There are reports coming in that the dastardly Don has been beavering away in his foundry again, unleashed yet more terrifying experiences on the galaxy. Not content with his gene-spliced dinosaurs, his dangerous menagerie of creatures from old Earth, a torture planet where he straps people to machines and makes them scream until they're sick, his Lemniscate Luke's 25-second eternal torture chamber of Groundhog Days, and of course his bizarre struggling vivisection experiments, he's taken something out of a museum, blown the dust off it, and like a dodgy Galway knockoff, is flogging second-hand goods as new. Yes, he's come up with his own ranking system for pilots loyal to him, changing their rank titles from mostly mafia and concrete boot pourer to roller coaster entrepreneur and ride operator. At the moment, other than his own uniform being adorned with Supervisor Elite, the highest rank afforded to any of his minions has been that of roller coaster tycoon. His thinly veiled attempts at legitimising his operations under the banner of a day of fun for all the family won't pull the wool over Hutton eyes. We know that the rides that he bought from years ago were massively popular, and yes, the log flume has enough chlorine in it both to kill any germs and strip the outer layer off your eyeballs, but we're suspicious of his motives. If, of course, he's turned over a new leaf and has rediscovered his sense of adventure, then we, of course, apologise. Actually, the ghost train looks quite fun.
The Pilots Federation have released more information on the forthcoming licensing that will allow commanders to make landings on planets with tenuous atmospheres from early next year. They've had one eye on the two eyes that is the binocular vision that is critical to nailing that perfect landing in search of new biological entities. Yes, you'll be able to not only have your head in the clouds, safe in the cockpit of your ship, but be able to look at clouds from both sides now as you drive around these newly accessible planets in your Scarab. They've stated that due to the manufacturing process for the Remlock Survival Helmet, they'll be using an automatic visor blanking system that will project a view from around the commander onto the screen in front of their eyes. To ensure high survival rates in toxic and corrosive atmospheres, these Elite Feet helmets will be using the latest in protective face protection. They have reassured us that they're working hard on making translucent covers for them in the future, allowing you to set your own two eyes on the wonders of atmospheric planets. But for the time being, the safest option is the wearable camera. The commander community appears to be on cloud nine over this announcement, as there were concerns that shipboard visibility would be reduced and ships revert to the cockpit styles from the age of Jameson, with commanders only able to experience the outside environment through a computer-generated screen. Yet more salt avoidance measures were deployed in the same bulletin when, despite areas outside your cockpit being inaccessible for the near future, as a prevention measure to stop you smashing into things and when leaving your seat to go make a pot noodle, both planetary and space-based bases are likely to be able to be explored on foot early next year as well.
Here is the roundup of what the community has been doing over the last week. In light of today's news, next week's edition is likely to be even more interesting, so don't forget to keep us up to date with what you're doing, whether it's helping to supply or repair stations or an event you've organised yourselves. Firstly, we have the results of the competition that Canon Research started to create a video commemorating some aspect of the Gnosis, Canon's research ship that is having its laboratories mothballed and is being set to work as a tour bus, given that fleet carriers can go further and faster. More than 5 entries were received by the prize committee, and they varied in length from just over 1 minute to just over 35. We are assured that all the videos were watched, but we do note the absence of the phrase in their entirety. We leave any judgment up to the listener. We at Hutton Orbital would like to offer our reassurance that no bribery was involved in the selection of the top video makers, as our own Commander Wotherspoon and our dear friend, ridiculously talented artist Commander Beetlejude, partly because the judging panel are notoriously incorruptible, but mostly because we're broke. Now for the real men, other genders are available, race in Lederhosen race report. This was an event in search of and driven by beer. To help prevent the system of Bavariga from running out of beer, this affair was organised to collect real beer and deliver it by heading towards the sounds of outposts full of parched throats. That's real beer, namely Gerasian Gurus beer from Chicken Port in Geras, Conga Ale from Laplace Ring in Conga, Buckyball beer mats from Rebuy Prospect in Fullerene C60, Kachirigan filter leeches from Norwalk Orbital in Kachirigan, HR 7221 wheat from Veron City in HR 7221, and Wuthiolo Coo froth from Tartadock in Wuthiolo Coo. Beer intended for a more refined palate, such as we don't have here at Hutton. This was an event where the closer you got to the time you'd previously estimated for a run, the higher you scored. There were several classes that could be entered, depending on the ship's configuration, and to cut a long story short, Commander NW Spacek mopped the floor with the competition, winning every class except one, and that was Space Taxi, where there were too few entries for a winner to be declared. The notable part of this whole endeavour that it's one, at least, that was not won by Commander Shea Blackwood. And now it's the turn of the Dark Wheel. See what I did there? They have just both expanded out of HR 4979 into a new system, Turdetani, just 19 light years from Lave, and have initiated their war for control over LTT 5455. They predict that they will sweep both wars simultaneously 4-0 and will then start their process to expand from LTT 5455 to their secret target system from which to test Sol. They expect to have a definitive answer on that by Halloween. There are 6 factions in the system, and their attitude is, if nobody else is able to get in, then who is that 7th slot for? Regardless of the outcome of Phase 1, Sol, they are going to push hard to LFT 509, Phase 2, and Lave, which is Phase 3, which will probably happen next by virtue of expediency. Here's early notice of the regular mug meet at Hutton Orbital, organised by Malice XR3 on Friday the 18th of September from 2100 BST. The commander writes, "It's a new month, so with that comes another mug meet, though this one is slightly different to the usual. Yumi, the illustrious and occasionally short-tempered flight control officer of the FTM Alvin's Paw, has decreed that we need to have a clear out of the Paw's inventory, so this means a couple of things. Firstly, the 1-to-1 scale tower defence games in the storage bays will cease. Secondly, I might get my quarters back. A mattress made of cargo crates isn't the most comfortable, but most importantly gives a window for both some profit and to introduce those Imperial types to the benefits of mug ownership and Alvin's fluffy leadership. To that end, we'll be heading over to the Imperial-owned system of Pandemonium, app name especially where Hotbox is concerned, to empty the Paw, spread the Hutton word, and make a few credits into the mix. Hope to see you there and for the mug." That's all the news we have for what the community has organised, but Flossy will be along later to give us the exciting details of today's updates from the Pilots Federation.
Well, to me, last on the list. How come when it's Norma going last, it feels like the climax we've been building up to, that the listener's been waiting for with increasing excitement? But when I do it, it feels like the encore that no one wanted, playing to a crowd who are leaving as rapidly as possible. Anyway, you all know about the numbers, you all know what to do about them, and you can look on hot.forthemug.com for details, so there's no point rattling on about them. The important bits are the calls to action, and first, and least exciting, we have an election in tier again. So, if you care about the never-ending election cooldown election cycle of our least important system, you know what to do. Next, we have a pirate attack in LP245-10. Now, those don't tend to last long, so if you want to smash the Don's dastardly minions, over their sharpish and deploy those hardpoints. For the profiteers and philanthropists alike, we have an outbreak in Epsilon Indy. There's profit to be made shipping meds in and selling them at exorbitant prices, and plenty of missions for helping the citizens. If you need additional assistance, I suggest asking the Boop Brigade, who are based out of Z, as they were shipping hundreds of tons of bio-waste into the system, which has contributed to the outbreak. Psyche, if you're listening, I told you this would happen. Finally, we have infrastructure failure in WISE 0855-0714. I've not had time to contact the fleet carriers, but I'm sure they're en route with the required commodities, so start trucking food and machinery deliveries to speed up repairs. Over to the closing ident, I guess.
Hello, and we're back. We're back. I'll clear my throat there. It's the Hutton Frogs back again in my throat. And welcome back into the studio. Yes, a busy show this week, and we've got a full team in the house. In fact, we may well have Morhat joining us in a second. We shall see. But obviously, we've got the Hutton regulars. Obviously, we've got Commander Palantir. Good evening, Commander Palantir.
Good evening. And you know, the problem is there are a lot of us here tonight, and there are more than 6. But you know what? It doesn't matter because we're in elite and we're all in the same bubble. Thank you. I'll get my camera.
Yay! Oh dear, what's that like? And of course we have Amelia. Hello, Amelia.
Hello.
Did everybody survive Tuesday?
So far, so good.
Nobody died a horrible death of vacuum doom?
Not yet.
Sounds good. And we have Commander Flossy, who's cock-a-hoop, got the news earlier about your community goals, Flossy.
Yeah.
You're out of retirement.
I have to do some work again. Like.
So you get more. So this is just greedy now. You get that bit and the sports bit. Oh no, we've had to shuffle, haven't we?
No. I've had it taken off me this week.
Back in your usual slot. It's nice. It's nice to have that back. We were very excited when we heard that one. And who else have we got in the studio? We've got obviously Dead Meat GF.
Good evening.
And have you got the runs still?
I might be going for the runs after the show.
Sounds good.
I have new shoes.
New shoes? Space shoes.
They're like the old shoes, but they're orange instead of green. I had mint versions, now I've got the orange versions.
And
the pumpkin spice version, I presume.
Sitting alongside you and admiring your new shoes from down there on the floor because we ran out of seats, it's the apology officer.
Hello. Hello.
Nice to have you along live.
He's just very short.
It's nice to be alive.
Flossie, pan that man. That man, quick. Anyway, well, it's nice to have... Oh, I think that was an AOE effect and got everybody there. And obviously, it's nice to have you live.
Yes, it's nice to be live.
Yeah. Oh, not that you weren't alive before, but...
Yeah, but, you know.
And then we have the dulcet tones of Commander Rampage.
Good evening.
Who is joining us from Team Hotbox.
Yes.
Who've been very quiet recently.
Just take it as they're up to something and we don't know anything about it. Which is
we know nothing about what you're up to. And we've got Commander Ventura on the decks this week. It was supposed to be me week, but he's covering for me because of shenanigans. So thank you very much, Commander Ventura. Have I forgotten anybody in the massive list of everybody who's here? No? Awesome. Well, no, I tell you what, I've got a message here from a representative of the Pilots Federation that they're available to be dialed into on a linked call here. Now, I have no idea whether this bridging is going to work. Did that big boobity boop noise happen in your ears, everybody, or not?
No, it did not.
No.
Let's try.
Oh,
Are you boopity booping now?
That boopity
Yeah.
boop.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yep.
Yep.
Right, I'm going to try this.
not
We
just
might
your
get awful
imagination.
loopback feedback and your ears might melt. And we're going to blame the Pilots Federation for that one. But let me just give...
Oh, look,
quick
back
ring.
feedback's the worst kind of feedback.
Now, I don't know whether the representative from the Pilots Federation can actually hear us. Oh, I can hear somebody. No, can the rest of the radio team hear
We
the
can't,
question?
no.
You can't. Ah, dear. Let's see what I can bridge here. But can't
Would you
hear
want to
me.
have a
Somebody
play with
talk
that?
amongst
We'll-
yourselves.
We'll talk. So now, chaps and chapesses and everything in between. Has anything happened today? I mean, I missed. There was something happening earlier today, and there was a lot of people. Did it? And was it anything?
I had a delivery of socks.
I ate
What
some
kind
chicken.
of socks?
No. It's the exciting news.
Oh,
That
Exciting
we're getting
news.
stuff back. Yes, we're getting stuff back that we
Yes.
asked for, and we didn't really want to take it away in the first place. But thank you very much for. And more stuff besides, because they're actually thinking it through and actually putting some effort into it, which is fantastic.
Well, we may now have a bridged. Have we got? Can you guys hear me? Have we got a bridged off yet?
Nope.
No, he can't hear anything from me either. Okay, well, I changed the wrong button. So yes, well, I'm trying to patch us into the Pilots Federation, but let's see if
He can't hear us say nice things about him, so let's hurry up and get that bit out of the way.
We are slick, aren't we?
Told you we should have
that's
used in-game
something.
chat.
Okay, he can hear us again
Oh,
now.
yeah.
I
Okay,
may have to
I'm
relay his
ready.
text.
I'm ready.
We can hear him.
Back. I can hear
Who's
you.
that?
You can,
Hello.
okay, well, in which
Hello.
case we can now hear the Pilots Federation representative officially on Hutton Orbital Radio. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. Sorry I'm late.
Well, no, thank you for sort of jumping off the live stream that you were doing earlier, that we were all tuned into, and coming along to join us for a bit of banter. You missed all of the exciting news articles in Hutton Orbital Radio this week.
Has something happened? Has there been an update? Has been stuff happening in Elite? I'm
Well,
not sure.
there's been a lot of speculation in the news, and I think you referred to it a little bit during your live stream about whether it is the Canon Interstellar new brand Thargoid biscuits that were actually detonated and therefore caused these stations to get green goo all over them.
Well, I don't want to give spoilers away, but it's more to do. It's not that this don't detonate themselves. It's just after they pass through the system, they react in a certain way.
Yeah, okay. But no, I mean, it was obviously the first thing for us to say is introduce you properly. So we say you're the representative for the Pilots Federation, but you're actually Arthur, aren't you, from Frontier?
I'm indeed. I'm Arthur, the community manager for Frontier Developments.
And we're blaming you entirely for the resurrection of Galnet News, and obviously for your news earlier about the CGs coming back, which Flossy is particularly excited about.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to shy away and say I'll take sole blame. It's not. It's the entire team. In fairness, we've all worked really hard to get these back. We know how important they are. I've only been with Frontier for 10 weeks. No, long that. Wow, it's 13 weeks. Sorry, 13 weeks. But I've been a fan of Elite for years, so we know how important these have been. So it just took us a little while to make sure they came back in a meaningful way.
Yeah, we did do our research and delve back through the Hutton archives and spotted a namesake of yours having been a Hutton trucker in the past as well.
Well, it's quite possible. I did jump. I still haven't redeemed my code actually for the mug. I must do that. I've been so busy.
But yes, also the odd post from back in the day, sort of around the time we were doing convoys against the Dastardly Don, and the odd pop up from a Pilots Federation, a current Pilots Federation member who shares a name with you, shall we say? But we're all really excited about it coming back. Obviously, here at Hutton Orbital Radio, we broadcast the real news from in the galaxy. And obviously part of that is we've got the Galnet News Digest from Commander Wotherspoon, who for the last 93 days has had to run his powerful people, giving sort of introspectives into their various powers. And he's been running the Encyclopedia Galactica in the meantime, talking about the various corporations out there. But of course, he's had to drop everything now to get back to the Galnet News, which we understand is going to be updated quite frequently now that all of the reporters have been released from their incarceration.
Yes. One of the things I alluded to on the stream was this is definitely isn't a flash in the pan. There will be articles on a very frequent basis. So stay tuned. Like I said, the next one will be very, very soon.
So, I mean, there were rumours that obviously the Federation had imprisoned all the news writers that were out there, the Galnet news writers. And it turns out that coincidentally there was an explosion on board Imperial stations, and then mysteriously all the newsreaders come back. So we're going to be blaming the Empire for all of this.
I mean, it sounds like a sound reason to blame them.
Yeah, I mean, it's either that or blame TJ, but, he is the blame magnet usually for most things.
Ben, as I saw in the chat, you normally blame TJ, so I'm going to go with the blame TJ.
And we know you... actually, we've got a couple of announcements to make during the show. Obviously, because you've just dialed in from your fleet carrier, wherever it is at the moment, you've not been watching what else is in the script, but you did wish somebody a happy birthday today during the live stream, and we'd like to wish that person a happy birthday as well. I'm assuming you remember who it is.
Zulu Romeo, yeah.
Yeah, Zulu Romeo. So, yes, we'd love to wish Zulu Romeo, who's one of our favourite regular Hutton truckers and attendees at ECM and LaveCon and everything, a very, very happy birthday from all of your friends.
Yes, happy birthday. And thanks for the support. Like, I try so hard to get these shout-outs out when I can, but like today's chat was going crazy. But happy birthday. Hope you had a great one.
Yeah, no, Hadji is one of our favourite people, and he's always around at the events. Usually found in a corner talking to Flossy or playing games with the rest of us. So the other thing is, are you familiar with what a CCCG is?
CCCG.
Yeah, CCCG. Because hopefully you'll be able to stay around for a couple of minutes and listen to our declaration. Well, in the absence of 9-month absence of CGs, obviously Flossy, as Queen of the Community Goals, has been able to declare certain community events as a community-created community goal, or a CCCG. Okay. And which is what we've been doing for 9 months in the absence of these things. So we're really looking forward to having something back sometime soon, an official one.
Yeah.
But we have declared the current disaster a CCCG. So, and Interius Fusion and the Hutton Helper is now live with tracking as through the Hutton Helper of all the rescue efforts. And I noticed during your live stream we did see also was it Psykit was saying, "Am I still top?" And the answer was yes. Psykit is still the top rescuer.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I've been watching a few people do rescues on certain stations. I did mention I watched Milik, and he's just, I don't know how to describe his flying. It's incredible. As I said in the stream, I did attempt to fly a beluga into a station, and I did fly into a station quite literally.
So it was you that smashed two of them, wasn't it?
Say again, sorry.
It was you that smashed two of them, wasn't it? It wasn't actually an attack. It was dodgy docking.
It was me. It was me practicing. It started out with just one attack, but after 3 practices, I was like, "Well, we'll leave it there and let Bruce fly."
Actually, just glancing at our tracker at the moment, Psykit has been pushed into second place. Hojo the Fool is now in first place on the rescues with 3,066 souls rescued from those burning stations, which is a cracking total. That's about 2 cutter loads, isn't it? Psykit's in second place, and actually a total by Hutton so far since this started of 14,514 passengers rescued.
It's a fair old number.
Yeah, obviously things
but it is impressive.
Yeah.
Well, we do still also hold the speed record, and I'm boasting again, for the fastest rescue from loading a passenger on to docking and unloading them. Did we get it down to 88 seconds?
When you say you're being too modest there.
I'm being very modest there. Yes, we had a competition last year to try and rescue people, where we were sort of speed tuning eagles and all sorts to try and see how fast you could get one person off a burning station.
And what was the ship you used?
It was Imperial Eagle, well tuned up.
Yep.
And 88 seconds from liftoff to touchdown.
That's really cool.
Admittedly, the other sort of 200,000 people saying, "What are you doing this in an Eagle for?" And I had to admit I was racing.
I mean, in fairness, I did mention that we'd sat outside that station for about 3 hours, making sure that we had the perfect shot for the start of the stream. And those 3 hours could
your camera work. Just watching that beluga coming through the docking slot there with you just sort of sat there with your external camera watching him do all the hard work. It was an impressive shot though, right up until the camera decides it doesn't want to play anymore because it got stuck in the toast rack.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying. I was trying to look at chat. I was like, I can definitely find the camera and look at chat at the same time, and realised quite rapidly I couldn't.
But we're obviously, as Hutton does, getting on with all the rescue operation that's going on at the moment, and we're going to be. And I think you spotted a few of the tweets and twittering that we put up earlier, encouraging people to go and lend a hand. I
did. Thank you very much for that.
So hopefully we'll get everybody out of there soon, and we can get back to fixing them. We did, courtesy of Mr. Shouty. When was it? Was it last year? Was it the year before? It was last year. The 10 in 10, wasn't it, guys?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah, we attempted to repair 10 stations in 10 days. We did actually manage to repair 8 stations in 10 days, but one of them twice because it got burnt again.
So 9.
Yeah, we said 8. We were being fair about it. We said we fixed 8 in 10 days, which is
impressive.
Yeah. So just don't set fire to any more until we fix these ones, because that was really stressful.
No promises.
Yeah, but we can tell you're going to, because as any good GM will tell you, Amelia, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of event happening is you just line it up ready for the players, don't you?
Well,
there's a lot of stuff happening.
You line it up ready for the players. That doesn't mean they're going to take the bite.
Well, we could all just ignore this and just get on with salty behaviour on the forums, that kind of thing. Oh no, we're not allowed to talk about that with guests on, are we? Well, look, we need to move on with the show a tiny bit, but obviously there's a couple of bits we can always ask you the odd question. Does anybody else have any questions for Arthur while he's here about any of this exciting news? I know Commander Wotherspoon is just going wee on the chat channel on Twitch. I think he's skipping as well. Does anybody else have any questions for Arthur while we've got him captive?
Well, I've got to say,
we just want to say thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Looks great, and I'm really excited to take part in it. Thank you. Spot on.
Thanks very much.
Next week, CG?
What was that, Flossy? You want him to spill?
I can't wait for next week, CG.
You want him to spill the beans on the next CG?
I never said that.
Yeah, she did. I heard that.
It was like a blood pact between us all. We swore we'd never give it up. Not one of us would ever give any information out. So I won't.
I mean, I will be one of the first to know we've been in the CG moderators bit. But
well, then, yeah, you probably will be then, yes.
Yes.
Well, I tell you what, if you're okay, I mean, unless you're sort of got a burning desire to be anywhere else, like escaping from a burning station, we've actually got coming up a section that you might find of interest, which is our first return Galnet News Digest. In a minute. So if you're around to listen to that and the audio is okay with you, then I'm going to hand over to the rest of the team so they can introduce it. We've got a song coming up first from the community, then the Galnet News Digest, and then we've obviously got Flossy's CCG intro. You're welcome to stay for as long as you like, and feel free to join in with any banter you like. But if you do have to scarper, just let us know.
Sure, I'll hang around for a little while. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to hand over to the team to go on. Oh no, we have a question from the community. From Lave Radio, Eddie Lee Wise from Lave Radio, says, quick question for you. Have you ever been a GM for role-playing games in the past?
I have not been a GM. I have been in many D&D sessions. I've never been a GM. No, I haven't. I've run events and I've done other stuff, but not a full campaign.
All right, no, it was just a bit of random question from the audience there.
No, that's fine.
I'll hand over to Commander Palantir to introduce the song on the next bit, and enjoy.
We're putting on our formal evening wear, ready to listen to the erudition from Commander Wotherspoon. So to prepare us mentally and to calm us down from the excitement of the news that we've just been discussing, we've got one of our more gentle numbers.
As a child, did you dream of exploring the Milky Way? Make your dreams into reality now and join the first great expedition.
Scan some little stars for me. Stars fading while I'm out exploring, flying from the cold. I'm longing to linger till dawn here, just scanning one more. Sweet dreams of stars to fuel from, sweet dreams of leaving neutrons behind me. But in your dreams, whatever they be, scan some little stars for me. Scan some little stars for me. Scan some little stars for me.
Galnet News Digest, 10th of September 3306. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, Prismatic Princess spiked by a marlin. The world in your visor. The competition gets a kicking. 3-year mission ends and the Cannon Challenge starts. Prismatic Princess spiked by a marlin. An obscure neo-Republican movement has claimed responsibility for a series of strikes against Imperial starports this morning. The 4 starports, Mackenzie Relay, Tsiolkovsky Terminal, Garrido Market and Muller Terminal, were attacked in the early hours with what appears to have been large quantities of high-grade explosives. Damage surveys have revealed extensive fires, venting of gases into space and significant structural damage, together with an as yet unexplained green substance spattered over many external surfaces. Initial reports were that these were renewed Thargoid attacks, and indeed the Thargoid alerting system responded by posting requests for assistance for the affected starports. Shortly after the attacks had taken place, the Imperial Internal Security Service said that a previously obscure terrorist group called the Neo-Marlinist Liberation Army had claimed responsibility. Taking their name from the founder of the Republic of Achenar, who is believed by many to have been murdered by her brother Henson, the first emperor, Marlinists are a political movement campaigning for an elected Senate to replace the current imperial system. Neo-Marlinists are the terrorist wing of this largely provincial movement. If their claim to have committed these acts of terrorism are true, it's unclear how a fringe organisation such as the NMLA could have acquired such large quantities of explosive, and how they could have been placed and detonated without being detected by the station security and the IISS. The unexplained green goo on external surfaces of the damaged starports has led to questions about whether this may not have been a terror attack, but may have instead been a coordinated attack by Thargoids. Backing up this theory, increased Thargoid activity has been noted in the Pleiades sector this week. However, there has been no reported Thargoid activity within the inhabited bubble for more than a year, and the authorities are playing this theory down. All of the attacked starports are under the control of members of the Duval family. Most directly impacted is Blue Rinse Princess Aisling Duval, whose flagship station Mackenzie Relay in Semias has been badly damaged. The Imperial High Command has issued an appeal for all commanders to assist with the rescue and repair effort. Rescue platforms have been stationed close to each of the affected starports to assist with this effort. The IISS is reported to be mobilising to locate and neutralise the terrorist threat. The world in your visor. Remlock Industries has clarified how their planetary excursion suits will work when launched early next year. Some commanders wear three-dimensional enhancement units to improve their spatial awareness. However, unlike flying a spaceship or driving an SRV or other surface vehicle, which allows you to look around and see three-dimensional images, the excursion suits will be fitted with tiny flat screens, onto which will be projected an image of the world outside. This image will be two-dimensional and will be the same for everyone walking around. This will of course only have an impact on commanders who wear 3D enhancers, and comes as a welcome relief to those who were worried their 3D enhancers wouldn't work at all on planets with atmospheres. There's still lots to find out about the odyssey we're embarking on. We will not currently be able to walk through our ships on the way to the disembarkation point, but we will be able to walk inside stations to meet the inhabitants, buy supplies, and take on missions. Brewer Corporation has been keen to point out that the places that can be explored on foot will include locations in space as well as on planets, and looks forward to welcoming visitors to take a tour of a Coriolis starport. For the very first time, this might be that chance you've been waiting for, to load 700 tons of performance enhancers into your ship's hold by hand. While planetary permits are initially being extended to planets with thin atmospheres only, the Pilots Federation has said that it's keen to extend the permits to planets with thicker atmospheres during the Odyssey. And perhaps sometime in the future, commanders with 3D enhancers will be able to experience the full majesty of walking about on a planetary surface. The competition gets a kicking. The Pilots Federation, which managed to stage a virtual LaveCon this year despite pestilence, famine and a plague of trumbles, has boasted of its success in getting the new galactic order off the ground and operational by pointing out that not all galaxies have been quite so successful. The galaxy of a forthcoming unnamed space game, which started funding way back in the 2900s, is expected to enter an early access beta sometime before the end of the current century, and currently consists of a single star system created at 1/6 actual scale. The Pilots Federation spokesperson sounded slightly smug as he put the boot into the unnamed game. But of course this is slightly unfair. The Pilots Federation has the benefit of having the real galaxy to work within, whereas the game has to create all the planets inside a computer. 3-year mission ends and the Cannon Challenge starts. As the Cannon research megaship the Gnosis returns to port for the last time before being converted into a tour bus, Cannon Interstellar has created a challenge to scan every type of life, every geological feature, everything of interest in the entire galaxy. All the space pumpkins of all the colours, all the spiky things you find in Lagrange clouds, all the anemones and brain trees and things that get cross and attack you when you flash your ship lights. All the things. They've made it easy by publishing all the locations and an entire route to follow. All you need to do is follow the route, scanning and taking photographs as you go. There is one little snag. The route covers a distance of over 500,000 light years, which is around 1/5 of the way to the Andromeda Galaxy. If you take a screenshot of each system with interesting things, And if you write an interesting report of what you did on your holidays, you might even win a prize. So, as Canon says, dust off your anorak, fill your thermos, and take the trip of a lifetime that will mark you as an elite cannoneer. And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we have nothing to announce at this time.
Thank you, Commander Wotherspoon. Who knew there was so much to learn? To give the higher parts of your brain a short rest after all that education, we've got another of our sketches from the archive, and then we'll have another chat with our Pilots Federation representative whilst we've still got him tied down in the comfy chair.
Landing successful. Clear to disembark.
The deck of the Gnosis retracts into the hull, carrying with it an ancient anaconda, its hull pitted and dented, its paint worn with time. The instant the docking clamps engage, robotic systems from the megaship start unloading the precious cargo, and two figures
We've all this cable patching we've been doing. I tell you what, we're gonna shuffle the order a tiny bit while we repatch a couple of the cables. I think our mics are now live, and so Arthur.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm. You're definitely going to guarantee us you've listened to the Galnet News Digest before and the mellifluous tones of Commander Wotherspoon.
100%.
100%. What do you reckon on his take on the news in the galaxy?
Pretty accurate. There's a lot of speculation, though.
Yeah, obviously. We know nothing yet.
The attack.
But obviously feeding this machine that is Commander Wotherspoon is one of the reasons why we were so eager to have the actual the Galnet News itself back, because I know the Galnet audio is fantastic in your cockpit while you're flying, but it's just not the same as Commander Wotherspoon.
I mean, who could compete with Commander Wotherspoon? But he will have plenty to eat, so yes. He will not go hungry.
Digestion will be working overtime for the next few months. We'd imagine.
I think so.
Yeah, but obviously all that speculation. I mean, the team from Canon Interstellar, LCU No Fool Like One, and the team from Canon Interstellar are good friends of Hutton Orbital, and of course it all feeds the tinfoil hattery that goes on as well. The trying to decode everything and see if there are secret signals hidden under your messages and all sorts.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing we enjoy. I mean, one of the reasons it took so long for us to get this organised is we really wanted to make a proper cohesive story that people would be able to speculate, talk about, investigate, try and find a solution to, and hopefully we can surprise and delight on the way. That's the plan.
I mean, some of the most fun we've had over the preceding years. I mean, decoding the Thargoid bits and finding signals and all sorts. All that kind of tinfoil hatchery. Even the Gnosis when the Thargoids attacked it and then they left their auto defense on and it was all going pear shaped. That was actually incredibly good fun. Commander Wotherspoon was involved in that one as well. He was on the deck of it when he took off briefly, as I understand, and then promptly blew up. And then laughed himself silly for a while because LCU had left the autocannons on the Gnosis. It all lends itself to some great fun events, and that's what Hutton's all about. Is obviously crafting events, but also sort of turning this news into something to go and do, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, we want players to, or pilots, sorry, to go to these events, experiences, and create their own moments, and that's the thing that bonds pilots. Once you do something together or you share an experience, it's unique to you, but it's incredible when it's shared with others. And it just, shows what's about.
Yeah, I mean PWP. I mean that's Hutton's ethos: player with player. Even if the with involves shooting each other for a lark, it's still with other people. So Hutton's all about the PWP, unless you're Welsh and mispronounce it, in which case it sounds rude. Right, I'm just going to check in with Commander Ventura. Commander Ventura, have you beaten the decks back into shape there?
Apparently, we don't have the correct one in there.
We don't?
No.
Which I thought that was the right one. That was.
I thought so.
Sketch one. That was the right one. Yes, that was Commander Deathlock, wasn't it?
Not this time.
Oh, right.
It's not.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll skip over that one anyway because we've got plenty to talk about. And just for Arthur's delectation, we're going to head over to Commander Flossy, I think, and we'll skip over the sketch.
We do have a question from our listener. There,
yes.
Script from one of our Antipodean listeners, Funky Abigail, a great player. The question for Arthur: has Frontier ever considered having a showing at PAX? It's super rad, and I presume that's some kind of young person speak for nice to see some of the team at PAX Australia.
How do I answer this? Yes, we'd love to go to PAX. It has been considered. It is being considered. I can't say it's not my pay grade to discuss that, but yes, it is being considered, and we'd love to be there.
Yeah, obviously at the moment nobody's travelling anywhere, which makes it a bit of a moot point.
Yeah,
we're all stuck at home, staring out the window, wondering when we can go back out again.
I'm not. I'm staying in.
Oh, you're staying in, are you? Oh, right. So should we move down to Flossy? It's up to our producer Norman whether he wants to mash a button, or should we go for Flossy's special tune and resurrect it and all cheer and sing along? Go on then, let's go to Flossy.
Get our lighters out.
It's Flossy. It's Flossy. It's Flossy. It's Flossy. And the community goes.
Hello, Flossy here with this week's CCCG news. Although this is not an official CG from the Pilots Federation, it is a call for help from them, and that's good enough for us. So we're classing this as a CCCG, and next week we're told to expect to see a formal CG. Following a series of explosions, the Empire has put out an order for evacuation ships and repair materials for the Mackenzie Relay Station in Princess Aisling developed home system of Simius, Lossy Terminal in the Gabjorgi system, Garrido Market in the LHS 4031 system, and Muller Terminal in the RAB system. Commanders can evacuate refugees from the incident to the on-site rescue ship. Repair materials will be needed once the evacuation is complete, though from previous repair efforts we expect basic meds, HE suits, evac shelters and clothing to be in high demand. The faster we complete the evacuations, the lower the damage is likely to be. The Alvin's Mercy is on site at Garrido Market in the LHS 4031 system and has shipyard, outfitting for passenger cabins and plenty of heat sinks and 3k of basic meds on board, plus some more medical supplies that they don't need. If the evacuations and repairs of Garrido Market are completed early, the Hutton team will move to the next system to help the Evil Squadron with their repair target. Make sure you have the Hutton Helper installed and we will track your progress. You can see the current state by going to hot.forthemug.com/current-events/terrorist-attacks/ or just go to hot.forthemug.com and click on the Current Events tab. And I can't tell you how fantastic it feels to be able to say once more that we have a community goal coming next week. And that's this week's Community Goal News.
Flossy told you what to do.
Thank you, Flossy. It's an absolute privilege to be able to hear you say those words. They bring a tingle to my spine. Now I know how I'm going to feel when they finally say, It's okay to go down the Hutton bar with all your mates. It's the Hutton Sports Report next, read by Hutton's very own apology officer. And that's coming up right after this short message.
And now, it's time for a quick peek behind the curtain. A series showing the lives of our radio crew when they're away from Studio 5. This time, it's Wilma Fingerdo.
When not engaged in whipping the crew into shape, or trying to negotiate a particularly tasty tongue twister, Wilma likes nothing better than knitting life-size replicas of famous erotic heroes of history. Assuming she's got enough wool in the right colour, of course. We remember one day in particular she was due to make an entire Greek chorus, complete with woolly appendages that could do double duty in a game that Wilma renamed as Dick Quoits. When a galactic wool emergency led to a shortage of balls, which in turn led to a shortage of balls, and meant that the display had to be renamed Greek Men in the Winter. But still, she means well. Wilma is also proud of her inventiveness when in the kitchen. What she can do with a small packet of Glacier cherries and a can of squirty cream would make your eyes water. There is a plaque on the wall of Studio 5 that commemorates the day that Wilma brought in a 2-metre tall tower of biscuits, held together with sugar ribbons, filled with cream, oozing with a gallon of chocolate sauce, that Wilma entitled Dessert for One. Only for disaster to strike, as the apology officer took one of the biscuits from the bottom and disappeared under a pile of sweet suffocation, with a faint cry of, "Sorry." Not many people know this, but Wilma actually has an entry in the Guinness Book of Galactic Records for the largest collection of 2H pencils that had been hand-sharpened using a giant battle axe. The record came about by accident, when her wife asked her to justify having the ancient weapon on her nightstand.
And we're back. Yes, we're going to take a quick interval there before we move on to the next bit, just to say hello again, thank you, and then goodbye to our representative from the Pilots Federation. So as his ship, I think, is passing a black hole, and we're going to get interference again soon. So Arthur, you still there?
I'm still there, and thank you very, very much for having me on. I'm sorry I was late, and I promise to come on properly. Dramatic.
Well, no problem at all.
It wasn't me.
Look, that stream must have been stressful because you're quite invested in it going well, and you put a lot of work in. So yeah, we know how much work goes into these kind of broadcasts, and you've got the whole weight of the company behind you there as well. So we understand fully, and it's not a problem at all. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. Just checking whether we had any other questions for Arthur before we go.
Yeah, sure. Any final questions?
No, I've got one.
Oh, go on.
Oh, I've got one. I was just going to ask Arthur, is there anything in the upcoming story arcs that you don't know about that's going to be a surprise for you?
Oh, good question. No.
Okay.
No, there isn't. I know what's coming. As I said in the stream, I know everything in detail up to for 6 months. I know the entire the over arc for 22.
Mm-hmm.
Then will be bits that will come in, but I will be part of that, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I'll try and keep a wee surprise for yourself somewhere.
I probably will. I mean, hopefully someone will do something. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I think the surprise will come from how the players react to what we put in, because there'll be stuff we expect players to do, but always players surprise us. So
emergent gameplay.
Oh,
Yes.
those words. Emotions, yeah. And obviously, as a player yourself, obviously you've got this as a job, but and you've got to say yes to this. So it's a really foolish question, but you're looking forward to actually doing some of it yourself, even though you know what's coming. You're actually looking forward to taking part a bit and joining in some of the shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, hugely. I mean, I've been playing Elite before I joined Frontier, so yes, I'm very much looking forward to getting back in and getting involved in the stories of the CGs and double weekends, and particularly for me, as a personal favourite, some of the seasonal events we've got sort of on the cards and hoping to pull off. So yes, absolutely, I'm looking forward to that sort of stuff.
Okay, well, look, obviously, and you've been working remotely, I assume since your appointment, haven't you? Because the everybody's offices are all still a little bit locked down. But
yes, I've been to Frontier 4 or 5 times now. They've sort of relaxed the rules. I did a stream from the actual studio last week, but it's very tough because in order to do the studio, you need a certain amount of people, and there just isn't that amount of people in the office.
Yeah, I mean it's a big old space there, and obviously the space bar on the ground floor must feel a bit eerie with it all being empty as well. But and obviously,
strange, yeah, it just reopened. It just reopened though.
Oh, it has. Well,
Yes.
last one before you go. Then very final one. Obviously, you have been party to the Don's dastardly machinations back in his own system, and have been shamelessly plugging some of the other new releases for the Hutton Games Room that we might be installing in the Hutton Games Room for people to play when they're not flying their real-life spaceships, of course. But do you want us to give us the short version of the exciting new releases, the real pithy short ones?
What, from Frontier?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, yes. So, I mean, if you want to play as a conjoined head with arms, there is, of course, the incredibly fun Struggling, which you may have witnessed Bruce and I trying to demonstrate. And if you like your old-time classics, then obviously we announced that Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 is the complete edition. It's coming to Steam and Switch. And we also announced Lemnis Gate, which is a real interesting game, and I hope people get a chance to sort of take a look at it. It's a turn-based first-person shooter in a 25-second time loop. That's really hard to understand.
Oh no, we covered it. We covered it in the
cool.
news last week and explained what a lemnis cut loop was and all sorts. We went into the science.
Yeah.
We all got a bit heavy last week on the science.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, it's a
game
game
for our
time. Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely a game for our time with people's attention spans.
Yes. Suitable for your average forumite. Well, look, Arthur, thank you very much. I know you've got a Scarpa now, so we'll say farewell and for the mug, and hopefully we'll have you on the show at some point in the future when you're not sort of crazy launching Galnet news and CGs upon us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again for having me.
Right, and farewell.
See you later.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
For the
Bye.
For the
Bye.
mug.
And the telephone call has ended. Yeah, we had to bodge a piece of damp string there over to his ship, which was in sort of outside the station, floating there. So sound quality, I'm hoping it was okay that everybody could hear him, just about.
Yeah, no, it seemed
I think he was having a shocking time hearing us, but no, he actually sent us a message just as we were going on air saying, right, I'm free now. Of course, we were mid-news at that point, and we had to leave the door locked. So terribly
And despite
sorry.
appearances, we do pay attention to what we're doing.
Was the door locked in case anyone tried to get out?
Well, yeah, we're all stuck in here till next week. Right, well, in which case, I'm going to resume sort of normal service now and hand back to the co-presenters there. So, yeah, please do take it away, Norman.
Hello, Apology Officer here. I'm sorry that I'm not Flossy, but she did have something exciting to talk about, so she delegated this one to me. I'm reporting on the prowess of our finest pilots in the galaxy's oddest sports, brought to you by the Hutton Helper, the only helper in the galaxy that helps you win a Hutton decal. This week's unlikely events are the Galaxy Challenge one-person long-distance relay, the Hutton Trucking Tower of Hanoi Cup, the All-Comers Pledge Quest Medal, the Taste of Paradise Trophy, the Formula ED Playoffs, And we've news of Hutton Mudder Trucker Endurance Time Trials. First in the Galaxy Challenge, one person long distance relay. Hojo the Fool spent most of the race neck and neck with Chattermage, but last minute a burst of speed saw the tape broken by Hojo the Fool, a comfortable lead separating them from Chattermage. The Hutton Trucking Tower of Tannoy Cup, in which contestants have to move objects from one location to another and back again until they have managed to make a recognisable shape of Alvin's paw from their pile of cargo, was easily won by Mindwipe, leaving a photon finish for the second and third places to Stevie Spaceweed and Sarota respectively. The All-Comers Pledge Quest medal was unfortunately called off, as all the contestants had notes from their mums. The Taste of Paradise Bountiful Trophy was yet again taken by Alex Zuno, which means that he gets his name engraved on the trophy, which he can display alongside his decal that he collected last week. The Formula ED playoffs really did not show us the full potential of the sport this week, as Joshua Macer romped home with 2,354, leaving Freaky Eyes and Poltergeist screaming at him as he lapped them for the third time. In summary, the classified results are as follows. Hojo the Fool, 93,000. Shattermage, 77,000. Mindwipe, 45,000. Everyone else, much, much less. Alex Zuno with over 201 million. Rest of the galaxy must try harder. Joshua Macer, 2,354. Freaky Eyes, 842. And Big Daddy beat Giant Haystacks by a technical knockout. The Hutton Mudder Trucker Endurance Time Trials that have still yet to produce a hero that can stand up to our veteran Brett Riverboat at 1 hour 22 minutes 31 seconds, but we'd like to commend Chris Zander, Sticky Winnets and Yuri Klemkan for their brave efforts and hope that they continue to improve, and who knows, maybe someone will be able to force Mr. Riverboat out of retirement to defend his score. That's all for this week's sport news. Could winners who do not already have a Hutton decal please contact the race organisers to get their Hutton colouring book. Remember, if you want to start your training regimen in the right way, go to hot.forthemug.com and download or register for the Hutton Helper. And who knows, next week it could be your name on that list.
And we're back again. Right, that was the sports report. We've done the bits about. I'm just sort of coiling string under the desk there from having dispatched our guest. Right. What does it say in our script here? Who's supposed to be saying that? Is it
young Rampage?
Really?
Go on then, Commander Rampage. It's you now.
Me?
Will it be?
Yeah.
Ah, yes. No.
You've got to keep up with the script. It changes.
I thought I had.
Just after sport outro. With your name on it.
Oh, got it, yes. Sorry, really sorry. Yeah, I've got it. Highlights flashed it.
There we go. It'll be fine in the edit. Seamless, yeah? I mean,
yeah.
Seamless.
Thank you. That explains the graffiti I saw that said, if you're looking for a good sport, go and see Mia. To give you time to settle your stomachs before the whirlwind of sensual attack that is the Galnet Food Digest, we pause for a word from our sponsors.
I saw a lot of Thargoid body parts in the galley the other day. I asked Dr. Arcannon what were they for. To put on top of my new Thargoid resin jam biscuits, of course, he said. Glossy Thargoid resin jam, layered between traditional shortbread biscuit with a big blob of glossy jam poking through the top. Rather spicy, don't you think? They are very, but then Dr. Arcannon always does make perfectly adequate biscuits.
Subject to availability, choking hazard may cause hull breach if improperly stored, not recommended for human consumption, may result in hyperspace conduit instability and Thargoid attacks. Canon Interstellar accepts no liability for any loss or damage from storing or consuming this product.
Good evening. This is Amelia Hawke reporting for the Galnet Food Digest. I try the galaxy's most rare and dangerous foods, so you don't have to. This week, we're heading to the Neritis system, more specifically to Toll Ring, and from there to the planet below. As with many rare goods, the eponymous berries of the Neritis system are grown and harvested on a nearby Earth-like world. In this case, they grow in the lush polar rainforests of the planet A5. Simply, and rather unimaginatively called Neritis by the locals. Whilst Neritis is very similar to Earth in terms of size, length of a year or day, it's a blisteringly hot world with equatorial temperatures reaching far beyond the limits of human survival. The entire planet has temperatures that sit at an average of 50 Kelvin above Earth's, meaning the sweeping deserts of the middle latitudes are arid places, broken by vast expanses of rock. With little running surface water in these regions, wind and sand provide the erosion, giving the planet eerie, weather-worn rock formations. When, and if it does, rain, the storms are immense, and flash flooding is common. Head up to the polar regions, however, and the temperatures are around 40 degrees lower, allowing an abundance of animal and plant life to flourish. It's at the fringe of this lush area that the bizarre Neritis berry bushes grow. In spring, with groundwater abundant, they grow long, thorny tendrils which keep throughout the summer months, and which wither and die in autumn, leaving behind bundles of small, translucent red berries. This all sounds very similar to brambles back on Earth, and fond memories of foraging in late summer and early autumn. There is, however, one very big difference. If you look closely at the vicious-looking thorns, they're strong, but hollow and point inward. Look a little closer at the plant, and strewn around the base of it you can see the bones of unsuspecting herbivores who've strayed too close. The heart of the plant has juicy-looking leaves. The Neritis berry bush is in fact a carnivorous plant. In summer months, when the water is more scarce, it's found an abundant source, passing wildlife. They come to graze on the leaves, get caught in the thorny bramble, which excretes a sedative, and then they're slowly and surely drained of their vital fluids to sustain the plant. Not surprisingly, the berries themselves are quite different from the tasty sweet morsels you find in hedgerows. The berries are filled with the blood plasma of the plant's victims, surrounding a single seed. Once the thorns wither and die, the plants attract local carnivores who engage in a vampiric orgy, quite literally gorging themselves on the vital fluids of herbivores without the need to actually catch them. The berries do still have a mild sedative effect, causing the carnivores to fall into deep sleeps after their meal. Humanity has cultivated special varieties of this bush, feeding them on particular fresh meats throughout the spring. The Neritis bacon berry is a particular snack favourite, each berry popping with a satisfying but delicious porky burst of flavour. The chicken gravy variety is sought after by Sunday roast aficionados. Many exotics have been tried, including the Neritis lobster bisque, which in itself, given the hard shell of the source creature, takes months of care to adequately grow and feed. Aside from uses as food, the plants are often grown in bonsai form by mafia heads, feeding them from their own hand, quite literally, every day, thus giving them a handy nearby source of DNA and blood plasma in case of emergencies. Plants that go the full Seymour are often used to dispose of enemies, and of course, a little prick can be all it takes to frame someone at a crime scene. Film studios use these berries for those action shots where actually perforating your billion-dollar lead actor or actress isn't the done thing, with demand high for historical war epics. I've been given a jar of berries to taste, and the flavour is something quite special. These have been fed on traditional Angus cattle, and the beefiness when you bite into one is intense. As soon as any gravy or dripping, it's as good as any gravy or dripping from a roast. Once you get over the gruesome source of the berries, the culinary uses are obvious, from canapés to an interesting twist on a cocktail garnish. They're rare because they're dangerous. To cultivate them, you need to have herds that you're willing to drive into the bushes. You need to be heartless. But for those who can stomach the carnage and the waste, the riches that await from the harvest are well worth it. Next week, we are continuing the carnivorous theme and visiting Baltacine system to try their vacuum krill, an exceedingly rare life form that exists in the cold of space.
And we're back. Thank you very much to Amelia. And now we're going to get all serious and sensible. No, that was serious and sensible. Those plants sound vicious, Amelia.
I know, don't they just?
I mean, you look at this world and it is, 350 Kelvin. It's about 50 Kelvin hotter than planet Earth around the middle of it. So you've got these vast expanses of dry, dusty areas. And then up where we would have polar ice caps, of course, the temperatures are sort of 40 degrees colder on average. So
Which is still warm.
It is still warm, but so you've got these tropical rainforests, and right at the verges of these vicious, vicious bushes that will have you. I mean, they'll have you.
And then you become a tasty morsel for whoever manages to get the berries.
Yeah, I mean, we do use them. Cecil uses them as a garnish on some of his cocktails, and it adds an entirely new sort of mental image of the flavour. When you realise that, a couple of these berries on top of a dirty hober or something, adds that little bit of bacon seasoning to your cocktail. And I love the idea of, feed it different animals. What do we want this one? We want this one to taste like panda. Let's feed it 50 pandas. No, that's very unethical.
But food in the galaxy is rarely ethical.
No, for carnivores especially. I mean, if you think about it, it involves, yes, let's chop that other creature up or feed it to ourselves or something. But an idea of this carnivorous plant that eats animals to give us berries, crikey.
Good berries, though.
They are.
We're just lucky it doesn't have legs.
Oh, crikey! Imagine that thing
walking chasing you.
A station interior trying to get you with its big brambly spikes. That may be. Feed me, Seymour. Yeah, maybe. When we get to go on some of these new planets and we get our Dysonator, the handheld Dysonator to sample things, fending off some of these carnivorous plants that are trying to scoff us and turn us into berries. God, wouldn't that be great?
Hey, Brian, look at this. Crunch.
Humanity v plants. Yes. Well, I mean, it could have been a pitcher plant where you fall in and get digested, or it could have been but they don't have berries, or it could have been one of those like giant Venus flytraps that wanders around and bites your head. But
we haven't seen it all yet. These things may exist.
Well, they might exist. We're going to find out for January next year.
Yes.
I mean, does the thought of carnivorous plants terrify you, Rampage?
Yeah. As a little kid, I watched the Triffids when I was little. It just came out. That absolutely scared the wits out of me when I was a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, they're these stems rattling against the bole of the tree as they approach. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
My dad still tells us regularly not to look at meteor storms.
Just in case.
Just in case.
No, I don't think that's what he was saying that would make you go blind.
It's too late. Too late for that.
Oh dear, Flossy, you got that
Yes?
pan handy again. They're being really
panhandling, would you?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Good job. Quick question from Commander Eddie Lee Wise there. Dave, have you watched Future Man? No, I haven't. I don't know why the question came out, but no, I haven't. Okay, so we're going to head on to the sciencey bit of the show, and then towards the end. So I think it's about time we hand over to Commander Rampage's alter ego and our very own Snoswell to find out a little bit about the science out in the galaxy. We've covered planet Earth. We've covered novae. We've covered... What else have we done? We've done the other one, and the other science.
Solar flares.
Space. Solar flares, that was it.
Yeah.
Solar flares.
They went out in the 70s. And but this week is something. Well, it's an extension of a previous week's one. So when you're ready, please, Mr. Ventura, take us to the sky tonight.
Good evening and welcome once more to the sky tonight. I'm Serenity, and as ever I'm here to guide you through the skies around Hutton, as well as the science, sights and sounds of the galaxy we call home. As always, I have with me to help educate, entertain and exonerate our correspondent from Route North, the supremely down to Hutton, the Northern Ninja himself, Norman Ski.
Hello everyone. This week we're safe from raiding Alvin's treat box and we'll be talking to you about supernovae, as we promised. What are they? How do they come about? And where's the champagne?
So...
But what does it all mean?
He's supposed to say that.
Aye, what does it all mean?
A supernovae is a powerful and luminous stellar explosion. Supernovae are transient astronomical events that occur during the last evolutionary stages of a massive star or when a white dwarf is triggered into runaway nuclear fusion. The original object, called the progenitor, either collapses to a neutron star or black hole or is completely destroyed. The peak optical luminosity of a supernova can be comparable to that of an entire galaxy before fading over several weeks or months. Supernovae are more energetic than the novae we talked about last week.
Ah, I remember that. Something about nova being new.
Glad you've been paying attention. In Latin, nova means new, referring astronomically to what appears to be a temporary new bright star. Adding the prefix super distinguishes supernovae from ordinary novae, which are far less luminous. The word supernova was coined by Walter Bard and Fritz Zwicky in 1931.
The most recent directly observed supernova at Milky Way was Kepler's supernova in 1604. But the remnants of more recent supernovae have been found. Observations of supernovae in other galaxies suggest they occur in our own galaxy on average about 3 times every century. These supernovae would almost certainly be observable with modern astronomical telescopes, and with travel around galaxy there is hope we will be able to learn more. Just don't get too close when it happens. The most recent naked eye supernova was SN 1987A, the explosion of a blue supergiant star in a large Magellanic Cloud, a satellite of our own galaxy.
Theoretical studies indicate that most supernovae are triggered by one of 2 basic mechanisms. The sudden reignition of nuclear fusion in a degenerate star...
Plenty of degenerates round here at the moment.
Excuse me. As I was saying, the sudden reignition of nuclear fusion in a degenerate star such as a white dwarf, or the sudden gravitational collapse of a massive star's core. In the first class of events, the object's temperature is raised enough to trigger runaway nuclear fusion, completely disrupting the star. Possible causes are an accumulation of material from a binary companion through accretion or a stellar merger. In the massive star case, the core of a massive star may undergo sudden collapse, releasing gravitational potential energy as a supernova. While some observed supernovae are more complex than these 2 simplified theories, the astrophysical mechanics have been established and accepted by most astronomers for some considerable time.
Supernovae can expel several solar masses of material at speeds up to several percent of the speed of light. This drives an expanding shockwave into the surrounding interstellar medium, sweeping up an expanding shell of gas and dust observed as a supernova remnant. I know some systems that could do with cleaning up like that. Supernovae are a major source of elements in the interstellar medium, from oxygen to rubidium.
This is where Carl Sagan in the 20th century was inspired to make his famous quote about us being made of stardust. The quote, often misquoted, is, "The cosmos is within us. We are made of stardust. We are a way for the universe to know itself."
The expanding shockwaves of supernovae can trigger the formation of new stars. Supernova remnants might be a major source of cosmic rays. Supernovae might produce gravitational waves, though thus far gravitational waves have been detected only from the mergers of black holes and neutron stars. With the explosion, pardon pun, of travel-around galaxy in recent times, there is hope we will learn much more about these stellar outbursts. Although we sincerely hope we see less stellar outbursts from Lale as well. It's a funny old place, this galaxy of ours.
We hope that you enjoyed tonight's episode. Next week we shall look further at how supernovae come about and the types of supernovae that occur. Until next week, I've been Sir Rennie T.
And I've been practicing my Aldin Tai Chi.
Hey! He's been Norman Ski.
And thank you to the Hutton science team. Go on, Rampage. He
Hello.
sounds awfully like you, that fella.
He's not. Just sounds a lot like me. We're from the same town, I think.
Ah, right. Up North Town.
Oop North, that's the one.
Yep, Up North. Right, well, we're getting on towards the end of the show, so time to do our thank yous. Obviously, thank you once again from all of us to the Pilots Federation for loaning one of their spokespeople for an hour or so this evening. It was an absolute pleasure to have Arthur along. He has said he wants to come and do a proper show later when he's not got a crazy stream first. He keeps apologising for being late. It's his Hutton. We run on Hutton time. That's normal. Seamless.
Seamless.
We confuse him by being on time today.
Yeah, you
People
see,
have told him, just a matter of you're 15 minutes late. They won't be ready.
No, we're never ready. And obviously, thank you to Commander Wotherspoon, who was dead excited about getting his digestion back in order, and his speculation. I mean, I could almost see, the Pilots Federation representative taking notes at that point. Okay, there's some ideas, but no, 6 months already planned. So we're hoping one of those exciting bits of speculation is actually true. Or it could be something even more exciting. Just as we'll go with Thargoid or terrorist. Palantir, what do you reckon? Thargoid or terrorist?
I think it's terrorists pretending to be Thargoids. And could that be that some of the attacks we've seen in the past were not really Thargoids? Or maybe they're working in conjunction with the Thargoids? Or maybe somebody just had a lot of green jelly left over?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What about you, Amelia?
Aliens.
Just aliens. It was
just aliens.
Do you think? Are we talking some aliens pretending to be humans, like in Men in Black? They just pull somebody's skin on and walk around pretending to be them.
Well, it could be Thargoids. They could be the ones pretending to be us. I mean, we haven't seen everything they're capable of yet, I don't think.
Well, and they have been kidnapping a lot of human beings. Maybe they've studied us and have created, walking around suits.
Exactly.
But you can tell the very unconvincing ones because they rise to the top in parliamentary democracies.
Well, here's the thing, Dead Meat. I mean, you're of an age with me, and you may well remember reading the Dark Wheel back in the day.
Indeed, very much so.
And do you remember the scene where he checks in his cargo bay and does a scan of the cargo?
Vaguely.
Yeah, and there were Thargoid larvae or something growing in the creatures in his cargo bay.
Yes.
I seem to remember that one. I don't know if the apology officer was party to that original story as well.
No, I don't think I did read that one.
We'd have to ask Kai Zen, because Kai Zen seems to be something to do with the Dark Wheel. But I think the creatures had larvae inside them or something that might have been Thargoid larvae.
Oh, nice.
I'm sure there's a description in there. Maybe somebody in the chat channel can remember on our behalf,
All I'll say is I've landed at Garrido, and what's around that station doesn't look like usual Thargoid goop. So if it is aliens, it looks different, in my opinion.
In what way different? Well,
it's not misty and green. It's usually misty and green, the Thargoid goop. This looked more like spread across the sort of the station, if you get what I mean. And that sort of green lines in it. It looked different.
Lithobreaker says, yes, we're remembering it right. So maybe human beings have Thargoid larvae inside them when they're spreading green goo everywhere. So you reckon it's different green goo. We're going to have to ask LC, no fool like one for a science thing. So are you leaning towards humans or Thargoids on this one? Man or alien?
Well, I think I don't think it's Thargoids, but it could be alien or man, depending. But I'm not so sure it's Thargoids. It could be something we haven't seen yet.
It could be. Lithobreaker says, in the Dark Wheel story, he was carrying mammoths and they had immature Tharglets inside them. There you go. So, apology officer.
I think, terrorist or freedom fighter, depending on your outlook. And I think they have got hold of either some Thargoid technology or even a Thargoid ship, because the damage all seems to be around the outside of the station.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. They say an explosion. I've seen you landing. And, what kind of explosives would you need to cause that kind of damage spread so wide? Your orca barreling in at full speed, or
an orca's not going to do it, Maybe Arthur's beluga could have done it, but
I'd like to pick up on that. So, how many tentacles does a Thargoid have?
It depends on how many you've shot off.
Yes. How many arms?
They're flower
does it
people.
Have?
Let's call them flower people.
They're octopods, aren't they?
Okay. How many arms does the creature have in struggling?
2.
Yeah. How many of those could you put together in one spaceship and actually pilot it? If you put 4 of them, would you not actually end up with a pseudo Thargoid?
So you think you're leaning towards the dastardly Don being behind all of this, is what you're saying?
Could be.
Struggling. Yep. And so dead meat, human or alien on this one?
I've always maintained that Aegis have got something to do with this.
It's alien. So you're in the alien camp.
No, Aegis.
No.
Aegis camp.
Yeah.
So you're leaning towards maybe they've got the Orthrus thing that was seen taking off from, was it Palin's base or an Aegis base? So you think humans using alien stuff?
Whether they're using alien stuff or not, I don't know. Aegis blaming aliens, I think, I've always thought that's part of the story.
Okay, fair enough. Commander Flossy.
I don't know. I'm totally confused.
Space spiders, aliens, terrorists.
Could be anything.
could be anything.
But LCU tells me that avian cheese with biscuits washed down with gin would cause that kind of explosion.
And some strange.
He should know. He should know, because obviously he's had to redecorate his bathroom that many times.
So where was which fence was Rampage sitting on?
I think it's possibly human, to be fair, but it's not. It's not Thargoids looking at it.
And it's directed at Princess Bluehair, or whatever her name is. Somebody's taking great exception to prismatic shields, or whatever. Isn't it prismatic shields from Samis and Airspace?
Yes.
Are all of the attack stations Huss stations?
I think so. They're all in a little cluster, aren't they? 160 light years.
The majority are, but not all.
Okay. So more likely be an attack against the Empire rather than Huss specifically.
Or is this the rise of the Alliance?
No.
There you go.
No, they always get beaten down by bots.
It's never going to be, no.
It's not the rise of the Alliance, no.
They get slapped down by Hutton every now and again.
It's the Lib Dems. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not Hutton. It's bots. It's always bots that take the Alliance.
Maybe
definitely bots.
Maybe valid, but it's just not going to happen.
Well, that brings us to the end of the show then. We haven't had any sort of guessing on human or alien from the Twitch channel as well. So we're just going to quickly catch up, Flossy, on the rescue mission Totalizer, where we're up to. It's gone up quite a bit since we had our banter with Arthur earlier, hasn't it?
Yes, it has quite a bit, yes. I did 5,000 rescued people since the banter earlier. It's now at 20,000. Hojo the Fool is still in first place with 3,066 rescues. Psychic 2,287 and Nocti 1,888.
Noctivagus? He really is out of retirement.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
back.
he is.
He must have been invigorated by that walk we went on with the Momus Dog Spaniels. Well, look, thank you very much to our listener for tuning in, to all the people over in the stream chat as well. Loads and loads of you. I noticed Bapst Arcade popped up, Commander Bapst, with his retro gear at some point during that. But no, thank you very much to the listeners. Thank you very much to everybody for tuning in. Of course, thank you to the entire radio crew. There are now too many of you in here to go through the names again, but also all the supporting team. Obviously, Mr. Cow and Mr. Moof for the server side things, Commander Ventura for all the button pushing this evening, to Snos and the writers and LCU and everybody.
My mother, my father.
Yes.
My
I'm going to
dog.
cry now. Yep. And it is time to go to the end of the show. It remains for us to say we'll be back next week at approximately 8:30 BST, which is 19:30 UTC for those of you everywhere else. And we'll be running on Hutton time, which means give or take a few. So tune in next week for the mug.
For the mug!
No journey too long and no cargo too small. The profit margins never really mattered at all. We're gonna take the cargo where it's needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We'll take anything, anytime, anywhere. Loading up the T-9s to the brim with grail. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. For the mug. Flossy always seems to crash into the sun. Swivel likes the pilot on the Xbox One. Alvin at the front, you know he leads us well. Trucking across the galaxy, now everybody yell. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. Give me a large pad that I can land on, and I'll give you my cargo and sing you my song. North Part 22 light years to go. Cruising to Hutton, whoa, whoa, whoa. No journey too long and no cargo too small. The profit margins never really mattered at all. We're gonna take the cargo where it's needed today. Super cruising all across the Milky Way. We'll take anything, anytime, anywhere. So shout it out loud like you don't even care. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song. For the mug, yeah, you know just where we're coming from. For the mug, now everybody sing the Hutton Trucker song.
Sagittarius Eye is the elite dangerous magazine. Written by commanders for commanders, it's your source for news and entertainment out in the black. We cover all aspects of life in space, from exploration to politics, ship builds to trading tips, brought to you with incisive commentary and outstanding design. Our magazine is released as a fully voice-acted podcast. Head to your favourite podcatcher to find all our archive issues, perfect for podcast listening. You can download all our back issues at www.sagittarius-i.com. Sagittarius I, the outstanding, quality, in-universe, elite dangerous magazine. Since 3303.
Sagittarius Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the show. Everybody's buggered off now, so why don't you bugger off too?
Night all.